Hey, Mama, welcome back to the show. Today's episode is a must listen if you've ever looked in the mirror during pregnancy or postpartum and thought, I don't look like me anymore. I don't feel like me anymore. Whether you're navigating swollen ankles, unpredictable energy, or that mental load that comes with pregnancy, this conversation is your reminder that you don't have to sacrifice strength, identity, or even confidence just because your body is changing for that little bitty human. I'm sitting down with Nicole Scheitlin, a mom of 3 and the powerhouse behind Strong Mama Wellness. She's a 12-year exercise physiologist and certified pre- and postnatal fitness specialist who is helping you ditch your fear, move with confidence, and reclaim your strength, both physically and emotionally. We're talking about what it really looks like to stay active during pregnancy, and we are busting myths over here, even myths that I thought were true. So whether you're currently expecting, trying to conceive, or just trying to feel like yourself again after baby, listen to this and make sure you hit subscribe and leave us a review. Good morning, Nicole, and welcome to the birth experience. I'm so excited that you're here. I got to record with you last week on your podcast. I'm excited about that as well. I would love for you to tell everyone just about you and your story and how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Hey, Trish. First off, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm so excited to talk to your listeners about exercise in pregnancy, strength training, all the things. But yes, fantastic conversation we had last week. A little bit about me. So my name's Nicole Scheitlin. I am a pregnancy and postpartum fitness specialist. I have been in the fitness space for a little over a decade now. I started off pretty traditionally in the fitness field with a degree in exercise science, kind of followed that path into personal training, group fitness instruction, corporate wellness management, all of those things. And so naturally, when I got pregnant with my first child, I have 3 children now. When I got pregnant with my first, which was a little over 5 years ago now, I naturally thought it'll be easy for me to exercise in pregnancy. You know, I'll make a couple modifications. It's no big deal, right?
I'm an expert.
Yeah, exactly. And sure enough, I found out that it was not easy. There was not much helpful information for moms or soon to be moms on how to move their body safely and how to support their body in the changes that were happening. So, of course, I wanted to have a healthy pregnancy. I wanted to support my body through this, but I didn't know how. And I was like, wow, if I'm getting, very general, vague advice from my provider and all the conflicting information online, and I'm a fitness professional who doesn't know what is going on, like what to do, I know that other women don't as well. Yeah. And so that led me down the rabbit hole of continuing my education, getting certified in pregnancy and postpartum fitness, and just trying to support myself through the rest of my pregnancy. And that was super helpful to gain that education. And there were so many points along that journey that I was like, wow, more women just really need to know this, because it's not all about having a bump only pregnancy. It's not about trying to gain minimal weight in pregnancy. Those things are fine, but how can we really support the body as it grows, as it changes? How can we support it to have a more efficient birth and recovery? So that's just a little bit about my journey and how I came to where I'm at today with coaching women through pregnancy and postpartum in a way that moves their body in a safe, effective way.
I love that you said all that, because one of the things that I wrote down is safely exercising without confusion or fear of harm, because I know for myself, because I'm not an expert. And I love that you said you still were like a little bit confused too, as an expert in exercise, but not in antenatal or prenatal or postpartum exercising. So I would say for those of you guys listening that I am not someone who works out. I move, right? But I'm not like let me get my gear on and go to the gym. My husband he spends like 2 hours a day in the gym. And that to me sounds like horrific. I don't want to do that. But I know that I have a lot of friends and listeners and students and members who love to work out. And then they get really worried because there's a lot of myths, I would say. Would you say there's a lot of myths about working out during pregnancy? So that's what I want to bust. Let's bust some myths. Like, you probably know the bigger ones than I do, but what do you think are some of the top fitness myths that hold mamas back from movement during pregnancy?
Yeah, there are a lot of different myths. I'd say a good place to start would be for those that do exercise and that want to continue to exercise. The big myth is weightlifting, and should you weightlift and how much is safe? The big myth is you can't lift over a certain number. And some doctors will say 20 pounds, some will say 25 pounds. That's a pretty common myth. And it's also pretty subjective to the individual. Whereas that limit on the amount of weight you can lift might be advisable for somebody with a complication or who's never lifted before, but it may totally not apply to somebody who is experienced in weight training and strength training and fitness in general. So I think, that's probably one of the top myths that I hear from women who want to continue exercising and have experience is, the myth on how heavy to lift.
So I love that you said it depends on the person, because this is one of my biggest soapboxes that I stand on, is that why are we making these general things for all pregnant women when we're all individual? And, one of the things that hit hard for me is I was 42 when I had Grayson, but I was way healthier than most of my 20-year-old patients that I was seeing in the South, especially. But yet I had all these restrictions and rules that they didn't have. So I love that you're saying that, because someone like me who's not lifting weights on the regular and I get pregnant, I probably shouldn't go straight to 25 pounds.
Right. And that kind of brings me to another myth too, not to skip around, but it kind of goes hand in hand. But for those that don't exercise regularly but want to start, a big myth is that you can't start something new in pregnancy. Now,
I've said
right.
this before.
Yeah.
I've actually said that because that's what I learned.
Yes.
I'm mind blown right now.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to everyone. Okay, tell us why that's a myth, and why do you feel like that's perpetuated?
Well, there is nuance to it, just like everything, of course. But like you had said, for somebody who isn't used to strength training on the regular, then jumping right to something, heavier or more extreme, I wouldn't tell somebody to just take up a running routine or jump into CrossFit or even lift 25 pounds first. You can start to exercise though. It just needs to be, a little more conservative at first, and then you can definitely build on that foundation. But I think the main point is that you're not jumping into something that's totally going to be a big difference for your body than what you're used to. It's just a general, slow build, I would say.
Right.
So that's why is that perpetuated? That's a great question. I think that
because we've heard it from everybody and then we just keep saying it without any research, I guess.
I guess because the ACOG, American College of Obstetrics Gynecology, they do say that you can start an exercise routine in pregnancy. You just suggest to keep it moderate.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to post this today.
There you go. I love it. Inspiration.
Yeah, this is why okay, so I have a coaching group with other motherhood experts that, business owners that market to moms. And we were having a conversation because we really get into this, people saying blanket things and people, even in the hospital, nurses doing things because it's policy, but yet when you really dig, it's not policy. It all roots back to one nurse who trained someone who trained someone who trained someone. So when I think of this myth, it started somewhere where someone just decided that was it. Someone in power, obviously, and then trained someone else who then trained, and it just spread like a ripple.
Yeah. I see a lot of outdated advice that just never got updated. It's almost as if like people got into the same pattern of saying this advice and they passed it down and it got passed down, just as you said. So I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason other than it's what people know to be true or what they
Yeah.
knew to be true and just never did the digging around it. But yeah, it's perfectly okay.
Well, then you have someone with like me with authority who says it with certainty.
Yeah.
And then they think it's true.
No, that's okay. Yeah. I mean, it's.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, exercise is not my realm, disclaimer, and everybody knows that. So hopefully they are digging deeper with an expert in antenatal exercise.
Yes.
But when that is, you know, how some things do get.
Yeah. And that's what I always like to say too, because we rely on our provider for so much and we want to naturally go to them for all of our questions, every single question, but not everything is always within their scope, specifically like very specific exercise questions. So like a lot of the blanket statements that we're given around exercise is keep doing what you've been doing. Don't start something new. Don't lift over 25 pounds. Don't get your heart rate above a certain amount. And so lots of these very vague statements that are just easy to kind of rattle off. So yeah, I always encourage people to kind of dig a little bit deeper and get some specific guidance from someone within in that scope.
Someone who actually knows what they're talking about is what she's saying, which is totally fine. Like, I am so about like being like, this is my zone of genius. That is not, that is hers. Go to her. So tell us more. Tell us more. Like, what are some other outdated pieces of advice that maybe we wouldn't even consider a myth, but it's just like flat out people are saying wrong?
Yeah. Another one. So I've already stated the weight one. That is no longer true. Another one that's been proven wrong is the myth of don't get your heart rate above 140 beats per minute. So
I'm literally blown away right now, Nicole.
It's funny because when I'm like,
you learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like, you know, these things, at least within my space, because I, you know, follow a lot of other fitness professionals in this space. And so we're always myth busting these same things, but they're still being said, right? 140 beats per minute is a common one. And so if anybody wears like a Garmin or an Apple Watch or something that tracks their heart rate, you know, they're trying to be careful about not getting it too high, quote unquote, too high.
Right.
And again,
well, we also disclaimer that if you have some sort of high risk diagnosis or something cardiac going on, that is a different story.
Yes, 100%. So if you have, I always say if you have specific limitations or complications that would require certain limitations like this, then absolutely you'd like take that into account. A lot of these things are just for normal, like healthy, uncomplicated pregnancies that these kind of statements apply to a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us more about that. They can. So
with the 140 beats per minute kind of guideline, the outdated advice there, it's very similar to being nuanced as is the don't lift over 25 pounds myth, because some people like 140 beats per minute might feel really hard. Like that might feel very challenging to get your heart rate up that high. Others who are experienced runners or who have a higher cardiac capacity will reach 140 beats per minute and go beyond that and still feel like it's a breeze. And so there is no research that states that there will be any harm done to you or the baby when you get your heart rate above that. So it's really just it's not a good rule anymore. And what we're advising now is just following more of an RPE scale, rate of perceived exertion, because it's so subjective to each individual. So kind of what you're going to want to do instead is when you're exercising, kind of check in with yourself and rate your exertion level, your perceived exertion of the workout, how hard it is on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being maxed out, flat out, laying on the floor, so tired, done. 1 being just kind of standing in place. And so what I always like to say to aim for like an easier workout is like a 4 to 5. And for something that's maybe more challenging, like 6, 7, potentially 8, but that's kind of getting getting a little high, not in terms of safety, but we want to measure our exertion. We don't want to fully exhaust ourselves. It's okay to challenge ourselves, but we want to leave some energy in the tank there for sure.
Okay. I'm glad you explained that because I was about to ask you to explain that. So are there any other myths that you feel are worth mentioning or that those of you in the, prenatal postpartum fitness space are busting a lot, or you see that other people like
Yeah.
me are saying but aren't necessarily right?
Yes, I have a couple more. There's
Okay,
so many
good.
that are
Come on,
coming to
bring them at
mind.
me, girl.
Yep. So the two that I'm thinking of are both correlated. The first one is that it's a myth that you can't do core work in pregnancy. Now, this one is starting to become a little more normalized, which is great. You can do and should do core work.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've ever said
Oh,
that
that's
one.
good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Still hear people asking about it though, because they're worried about safety and things like that. And what I like to think about with this is we we want to still be doing core work because it is supporting our posture, it is supporting our pelvic floor, it is minimizing aches and pains that we could potentially get during pregnancy. So we do want to have a stable
Right.
foundation there, but it's just going to look different. It's not going to be your traditional planks and sit-ups and crunches and Russian twists. Like our traditional ab moves are going to be transitioning to either standing or on all fours, like a quadruped position, just lower pressure exercises that aren't going to increase the
You might want to define quadruped
yeah, quadruped would
for
be
those of us who are not in your
yeah.
field.
Quadruped is hands and knees. So if you were to just be on the floor on your hands and knees, that would be a quadruped position. So if you can think of like a bear crawl
Okay.
type position, you're in a tabletop. So
Okay.
hopefully that is a good enough
Yeah.
visual.
I figured what that was, but I want, let's just acknowledge the fact that pregnancy brain is for reals. And
Yes.
so I wanted to make sure we're super clear there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
So
go on. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So just shifting our positioning a little bit because those traditional ab exercises that we are used to doing pre pregnancy can tend to create a lot of pressure inside our core. And there's already pressure in there because the baby is growing and developing and pushing pressure out on our abs
Okay.
and also pushing pressure down on our pelvic floor. So when
Yeah.
we do exercises that increase pressure more, we increase the risk of a more severe diastasis recti. So we do want to just shift a little bit in the way that we do it, but it's definitely not off the table to do core work in pregnancy.
Okay. And explain diastasis recti.
Yeah. That was going to be my second
Okay.
my next myth. So I'll go into
Okay.
that for sure. So diastasis recti, for anyone who isn't familiar with it, is the abdominal separation that happens in pregnancy. And it's not something where your abs are splitting or anything like that. It's essentially the connective tissue between your six pack abs, between your rectus abdominis, that just pulls apart as the baby grows. So it's very normal, very natural. It is thinning, it is weakening, and it's just allowing your body to expand for baby. So it's a really normal, natural thing. And diastasis recti. So I see a lot of reels on Instagram that will say, like, do this exercise and prevent diastasis recti, like, prevent diastasis recti, all these things. And
Yeah.
we're kind of putting the fear of life into these soon to be moms that their abs are going to be split apart and all these things, but the truth is that it it's in 100% of pregnancies by the end. That is
Okay.
research proven. We all have diastasis recti. We can influence the severity of it though. That's where our core work comes in pregnancy, just influencing and hopefully decreasing the risk of a severe gap after pregnancy. But we will have diastasis recti, which is considered about a 2-finger gap postpartum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So any more about that or any other myths that you're like, we've got to bust right now?
I think those are the main ones. Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
we'd covered
Okay.
the good ones for sure.
Okay, good. So the other thing that I wanted, you said in the beginning, you said it's not just about having a perfect body. It's not just having a belly only pregnancy. What do you think it really like? Can we go a little bit deeper in what it really is about? And then we'll let
Mhm.
everyone know where they can find you to learn more of these truths.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super passionate about this because, coming from the fitness world, it can be very diet culture-y, which it doesn't really serve us in pregnancy because our body changes are kind of beyond our control to a certain level.
Uh-huh.
And so coming from the fitness space, it was my goal in pregnancy to stay strong, stay healthy. But then when I'd search Pinterest for like pregnancy safe workouts, I'd get these articles on having a bump only pregnancy and very aesthetic like things. And we can't
Yeah.
spot train. It's just scientifically proven we cannot spot train. The shape your body takes on in pregnancy is really going to be genetically influenced. And so there's a
Yeah.
kind of a pressure relief there that we can't control that. What we can control is the way that we move and support our body in the changes that are happening. So to kind of go a little deeper into that, what I started to notice in myself in that first pregnancy, and of course, what I work on with clients as well, is really training for the demands that are going to be placed on your body, both in pregnancy. So, in pregnancy, you've got, of course, the center of gravity shift. You're carrying
Right.
extra weight that's putting pressure on your joints, your pelvic floor, your pelvis. Along with that, often comes aches and pains. So, a lot of the exercise that I do with my clients, a lot of things that I recommend help support your body and stabilize so we can prevent aches and pains. So you can go on living your life. You can go on picking up your toddler while you're pregnant. You can go on hikes with your family. You can just continue to enjoy life without feeling so debilitated. So it's really
Yeah.
getting intentional and strategic about that. And that carries into birth too. A lot of the work that I do also is teaching clients effective pushing positions, and we're doing endurance training that mimics labor contractions, where we're doing some interval training that is going to be really hard working periods and then shifting into relaxing and breathing. And so just getting intentional about the way we move our body and how we show up to our workouts, that we're not just randomly doing random modifications, and to just keep it safe, so to speak, that is important. But it's also so important to just be intentional and move your body in a way that's going to really serve you and help you live and move the way that you want to do.
All right. So the last thing that I would love for you to address, because I see this in my mama membership a lot, is the women who feel guilty that they're not doing more during pregnancy. What are some easy things? I tell them just move, just get some movement in, go for a walk, do something simple. But what would you say? And tell them what you have to offer as well, because I know you have some options. I would assume you have some options for
Yeah.
those of us like me who are not like this fitness person.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, just as you said, Trish, I would recommend keeping it very simple, especially if you're, in the throes of the first trimester or late pregnancy and it's just a grind to get that movement in. I
Hmm.
would do what feels good. Like just be intuitive with your body. If a walk feels good that day, try and start with 10 minutes. If it feels
Okay.
like you could get some stretches in, like your back is feeling tight, your legs are feeling tight, try and do some stretching. Like I feel like objects that are in motion stay in motion. So once you kind of get the feel good feelings from little doses of
Hmm.
movement, it can influence more movement. But start so simple. I wouldn't even, if you're really struggling, I wouldn't even start with thinking about strength training. I would just get consistent with things that feel good and fuel you and bring you energy, and then see where you can add from there. But that's exactly where I would start. In terms of offerings, so I do work with clients one on one where I help them come up with a customized program that fits their life, fits their goals, fits how their pregnancy is currently going. And so it's just fully customized to you. I hold you accountable. And so it's a really good, way to kind of have your hand held through the process, not in a like breathing down your neck way, but in a way that is gentle accountability, just supportive, helping you to, get moving in a way that helps you feel really good. And then I also have a program that's self-paced. You do it yourself. It's called Empowered Pregnancy. And that one is a little bit more intermediate level. So one-on-one is for any level, but Empowered Pregnancy is a little more intermediate level. I do recommend some strength training experience, but that one will give you 4 workouts per week, fully guided. It's plug and play. So if you're just wanting that straight up instruction, tell me what to do, it's there.
Freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's how I like that. That's how I roll. So I wanted to ask you one more question because it literally just popped into my head. What about like weighted vests or something like that to add in if someone really is like, I don't want to do gym, I don't want to do strength training? Is that something that they can do during pregnancy?
Yeah,
Or
probably.
would you not recommend that?
Yeah, I would say it depends.
I had to throw in that weird question.
No, it's good. Other people are probably thinking it. So with that, it just depends on how it straps on. I probably wouldn't recommend a whole bunch of pressure on your belly, just depending on where that weighted vest is placed. If it is...
So usually the vest part is on the back with the weights and it's like evenly over the shoulders.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would hit the belly. Yeah.
That would be fine. Yeah. Just like anything, form matters. So if you're doing squats in that, you still want to have good squat form. If you're walking with that, that's great. Yeah. I wouldn't say that is, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with a weighted vest at all. So yeah, if you had
wouldn't give you as much benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. And you guys can all find Nicole over on Instagram. And you can check out the show notes. We'll have some links for some information. And I'm so like blown away by this conversation. I'm super excited about it. I love when I learn something new in the perinatal space because it seems like I don't typically, because I've been in it for so long. But I love that you schooled me today. So thank you.
Oh, good. I love to hear that I could teach you something because I learned so much from your episode too.
Okay, ladies, we will see you guys again next Friday. I hope you enjoyed this episode where we broke down some myths that even Labor Nurse Mama has been speaking. So we are definitely all about being updated and helping you guys know what you can actually do or not do during pregnancy so you can make the best choices for you. All right, hit subscribe, leave a review, and I'll see you again next Friday. Bye for now.